don't preempt the facts. There needs to be an investigation.
The president of the most powerful governing body in motorsport just sat down in Miami and said, on record, that he misses Christian Horner and wants him back in Formula One. Not a leaked text, not an anonymous paddock whisper. A direct, named, public statement from Mohammed bin Sulayem himself. What nobody in the paddock wants to say out loud is this. The same paddock that spent 18 months quietly celebrating Horner's exit is now, one by one, opening the door back up for him. Zak Brown, the man who once called for Horner's removal, says he'd welcome him back. The FIA president says he keeps in touch with Horner and believes the sport is worse without him. Even Toto Wolff, who said the sport lost its villain and called Horner's departure something that had to happen, admits he's in two minds about a return. This video is not just about what bin Sulayem said, it is about why he said it now, at this exact moment, with a deal deadline weeks away, and Toto Wolff quietly trying to buy the same door Horner is walking toward. Bin Sulayem used one specific word in Miami.
I'm sure the relevant parties, and again, the process that they have within the statutes of the FIA will be followed.
He called Horner's time away a vacation. That word is carrying a lot of weight right now, and here is why. 20 years, 6 constructors' titles, 8 drivers' titles, 124 wins. That is what Horner built at Red Bull before a female colleague's allegations in 2024, 2 internal investigations, leaked messages, and a collapse in political trust inside Red Bull GmbH ended it all at the 2025 British Grand Prix. He walked away with a reported £80 million and a gardening leave clause keeping him out of F1 for 10 months. That 10 months ends right now, around the Canadian Grand Prix window of May to June 2026. And Horner has already made his conditions clear the entire time. He comes back only for a winning project, and only as an owner, not a hired hand. One team fits that description perfectly, and the race to get him there started months before his gardening leave even ended. Back in 2023, a private equity firm called Otro Capital bought a 24% stake in Alpine for around €200 million, bringing in celebrity investors like Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and Michael B. Jordan.
And all I would urge is don't prejudge. Wait for the facts. Wait to see what is the reality before coming to a judgment.
By late 2025, Otro wanted to sell, and Horner's consortium stepped straight through that opening, with Alpine officially confirming his group's interest in January 2026. But Horner was not the only one who noticed that door. Mercedes, who now supply Alpine's engines from 2026, entered the same negotiation for the same 24%. Flavio Briatore confirmed it publicly, and Zak Brown warned that a manufacturer buying a stake in its own customer team creates exactly the kind of competitive conflict F1 has spent years trying to clean up. But here is the part that makes this whole situation genuinely uncomfortable for everyone involved. If the deal does not close before a fixed mid-year shareholder deadline, Otro Capital gets to pick its own buyer and cut everyone else out entirely. That clock does not pause for anyone. So, Horner needs this deal closed. He needs it closed soon. And crucially, he needs the most powerful figures in the sport's governing structure to be publicly and loudly comfortable with him coming back. 3 days ago in Miami, that is exactly what he got. At the Miami Grand Prix in early May 2026, Mohammed bin Sulayem gave an interview that went further than anything any FIA president has said publicly about a private individual's career plans. His words were direct and unambiguous. He said, "Who can remove Christian Horner's name from motorsport and Formula One? You can't. We miss him in this sport." He added that he keeps in touch with Horner, that he would welcome him back, and that when Horner returns, it would be, in his phrase, like he went for a vacation. Nobody who runs the FIA talks like that by accident. The FIA president does not pick favorites publicly in the ordinary run of things, and a statement that explicitly frames someone as welcome and missed is a signal that carries weight in the political structure of the sport. Bin Sulayem also mentioned that F1 president Stefano Domenicali had invited Horner as a personal guest to the MotoGP Spanish Grand Prix in Jerez, which adds another layer. Both of the sport's most senior administrators are maintaining an active relationship with him during his absence. This statement is not a confirmation of a deal, or a role, or a team. What it is a political signal sent at a very specific moment. If Horner announces a stake purchase at Alpine and a return to the paddock, he now has the FIA President on record saying the sport is better with him in it. That political framing matters enormously for a man whose departure was shaped as much by internal politics as by sporting results. Toto Wolff has been walking a very careful line on this, and the way he has handled the public question of Horner's return tells you almost as much as what he actually said. In late March 2026, Wolff gave a series of interviews in which he offered a carefully constructed view that managed to be both critical and complimentary at the same time. On one hand, Wolff told reporters that Horner had broken quite a lot of glass, and that these things have repercussions in a small world like the F1 paddock. He acknowledged the 2024 controversy and the political damage it caused, framing Horner's exit as at least partly the result of what he called a sense of entitlement and a desire to hold all the power inside Red Bull, which he said ultimately cost Horner the job. On the other hand, Wolff also said the sport was missing personalities, and quoted himself as having told Ferrari's Fred Vasseur that F1 needs the good, the bad, and the ugly, adding that with Horner gone, only the good and the ugly remained. The bad, he said, was gone. Coming from a man who spent years trading blows with Horner across the pit wall, calling him the necessary villain of the sport reads more like respect than an insult. And yet Wolff also denied that his interest in the Alpine stake had anything to do with blocking Horner, which is precisely the kind of denial that generates more attention than the allegation it is responding to. He said he was in two minds about the return, and that is probably the most honest and most politically useful answer available to him right now. What nobody around the Alpine stake story has clearly answered is what happens if both Horner and Mercedes end up as stakeholders in the same team. That scenario has not been ruled out publicly, and Alpine's engine supply contract with Mercedes running from 2026 already ties the two sides together commercially, whether or not any equity deal closes. Red Bull's 2026 season tells its own story, and it is not a comfortable one. Laurent Mekies warned fans before the season started to bear with us in the first months, citing the challenge of launching Red Bull's first in-house power unit, built in partnership with Ford, under entirely new technical regulations. That warning turned out to be accurate. After 4 races in 2026, Red Bull sat 6th in the Constructors' Championship with 30 points. Mercedes led the standings with 180 points. Mekies himself described Red Bull as a distant force, acknowledging they were running approximately 1 second off the Mercedes pace and about half a second off Ferrari. The same team that won 21 out of 22 races in 2023 was competing for midfield points at the start of 2026. Nobody is saying Red Bull collapsed because Horner left, but the timing of both stories running at the same time is not lost on anyone watching. The man who built that team is out. The team he built is struggling, and the sport's governing body just went on record saying they want him back. Pull it all together, and the picture is hard to ignore. Ben Sulayem has given public backing. Horner's gardening leave ends within weeks. The Alpine stake deadline is approaching. Zak Brown wants him back. Wolff is in two minds but not blocking anyone. And Red Bull, the team Horner spent 20 years building, is 6th in the standings. Everything is pointing in the same direction. The timing, the statements, the deal structure, the deadline. The one question that has not been answered, and won't be until the stake sale closes, is whether Horner comes back as an owner or whether Mercedes gets there first and the door closes on a very specific route back into the paddock. The FIA president called it a vacation. Horner called it unfinished business. And the Alpine negotiation is the room where the next chapter of this story gets written. Whether Horner is in that room when the deal closes is still open, and if you want to know the answer when it drops, you already know what to do. That's all for today, guys. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe so you never miss out on Formula Girls.